This is More to Say with Randy Naughton. Interesting conversations with interesting people.
We welcome you into another edition of More to Say with Randy Naughton. Thank you, everybody who follows along on all streaming social media platforms. We appreciate it. If you don't follow More to Say or Randy Naughton, please do so on all social media platforms. I'm pretty much on it every day, yapping about something, whether it's sports or cooking or animals, you name it. And of course, the More to Say podcast. And we wouldn't be able to do this without our wonderful partners, the Lemp Mansion in St. Louis, which is one of the most haunted places in all of North America. Do you know they have super cool events and great meals? LempMansion.com is where you want to go. We'd love to thank the folks from Team Jakey. This is a family who lost a loved one to suicide, and they formed this 501c3 nonprofit to help end the stigma of mental illness, and they're doing great things in the St. Louis community. We will let you know what it is. KTRS Radio. Did you know you can also hear More to Say every Sunday at 5 p.m. on KTRS, the Big 550. Please tune in at ktrs.com/podcast. And of course, you hear me talk about the Mostly Superheroes podcast. And I'm so grateful to my podcast partner, Logan Janis. And I must say that I get a lot of questions like, you mention that Logan guy a lot. Who's Logan? I know you're synonymous with John Pertzborn with all your years on TV, but now you're synonymous with this young person named Logan Janis. Well, I thought I'd introduce you guys to Logan Janis from the Mostly Superheroes podcast. Logan, welcome to the More to Say podcast. How are you?
Hey, Randy. Hello, everyone. And hi, Randy. That was quite the intro. I got to say, just to be thrown right in the front with in the same sentence at all with John Pertzborn was, that makes that he's a legend. So
he's a legend, and there's no doubt about it. And I miss him every day. I can't believe I'm going on 3 years that I retired from TV, and people are like, why didn't they renew your contract? No. That was my choice. It was time. And I started the More to Say podcast, and I was kind of chugging along, kind of doing some things and trying to learn the podcast landscape. And out of the blue, I think it was last fall, I get contacted by Logan. Hey, Randy, I have a Mostly Superheroes podcast. I'd love for you to be my guest. And I'm like, young man, how old are you? What do you mean? I'm a huge fan. I watch you on TV. I'm like, you're not in my demo, right? We're not the same age. So Logan, what is the Mostly Superheroes podcast, and how the heck did I end up on it being one of your guests?
Yeah, that's a great entry point, I think. And it's really cool to be here on the show. I do produce for you, and I edit the show.
Yes.
So I'm
You're
right
front
now
and center now, buddy.
And this is very meta because I'm editing. I'm in the editing room. I hear my own voice. It's very funny. But yeah, that was me. I was on the podcasting side when you met me, Randy. But I met you on the news. Like,
yeah.
me and my family, I grew up in Bonne Terre, Missouri, about an hour south of here, and local news was on the television. Television was part of our lives, and that really led to Mostly Superheroes. I had a short stint in radio when I was 18 out in Lincoln, Nebraska. Then I spent 7 years in marketing and advertising, 7 years in pharmaceutical research, and then I met my wife, Carrie, now, who we just got married this past September.
I know, you guys are adorable.
She's great. She's a full-time designer on her own, and I've been on my own now just about a couple years producing podcasts because I loved radio. I think it's such an important part of our culture and how people stay informed and stay connected as a community. You know all about that, Randy, being in broadcast. Yeah. So I had some of that broadcast background, but just a little taste, and I knew podcasting was within reach. And then when I met Carrie, that unlocked everything because she could visually represent the show that I had in mind, which is Mostly Superheroes, variety talk show with guests. We talk TV and film, and we had on a lot of people in the around. I mean, forever really. We have on guests that we handpick, and you were a local legend to me. I knew you just from Fox and John. You two were so funny, and me and Carrie have really great memories of watching you two in the morning. And then when you retired, we were like, oh no! It almost felt like we were kind of just getting humming with you two.
Sorry.
And then when I went on the news for, I'm on there once in a while, I got to bump into John just by chance. And the only thing we really talked about was you, because he was just like, man, I really miss her. And so maybe we need to talk to John about some stuff. But having you on, we had a segment we called Logan's Heroes for a long time. It was like, man, Randy's retired now. I was like, maybe she has some time. She's not getting up in the crack of dawn anymore. And you said yes. And then you were at that junction of like, you wanted to keep the podcast going, but you, like you said, you were
Right.
learning some things, and I had been training myself on them for about 5 straight years. So that was how
Well,
it
the
all came
funny thing
together.
is, you and I vibed on a personal level because you just, I don't know why, I'm literally probably twice your age, but you and I really vibed, and on a friendly friendship, respect kind of level. And then when we were talking on your podcast, and I'm like, superheroes, I'm not a superhero, but you mentioned that your podcast is a variety type thing. Sure, you do movies, and I know we just had the Superman thing over the summer, and sure, and you're wearing a Wolverine shirt. You love your comics, you love your superheroes, but it's so much more than that. But when you and I vibed, I'm like, I love the podcast space. I'm able to do all these interviews, deep dive interviews, because when you're on TV on a morning show, it's 3 minutes and the producer's in your ear going rap, 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 because we have to get to the commercial. And, you don't get a chance to get to the meat and potatoes of the subject matter. So this is where I love podcasting. But my weak spot, and, I'm slowly learning, is the technical side. I've always been in front of the camera. I've never been the editor. I do have voiceover studio where I do audio editing. And then Logan, the ultimate hype man, the ultimate pitch man, says, I can help you with your podcast. I'm like, what? What? He goes, yeah, we can edit, we can collab, we can this. And he starts throwing out all this stuff to me like, I'm a marketing guy, my wife's a graphic artist, blah, blah. I'm like, I believe I just met my spirit animal.
Oh, man.
So I don't know if you feel that way about me, but
Yeah.
I sure feel that way about you.
Well, that's really sweet. Then thank you for that, because yeah, we're just in our own silo sometimes. Even with all the things we do, you're kind of in a silo sometimes, and so it's nice to hear.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like Logan, and again, there is a generation gap, and I'm like,
well, I was gonna say you asked how I felt. It was exactly the same way. It was definitely like a friendship from day one. Just kind of,
I believe so.
Just a good vibe, and you and my wife Carrie have a ton in common, just with your love for animals and nature. And then like me and you have a lot in common, just in the ways that we joke and our sense of humor sometimes. And so yeah, there was definitely just that energy. And I know you mentioned like age and stuff. Like I've since a young age, like that's never been a thing. Like then those have just been numbers to me. And I think maybe I'm on maybe my soul's like on its 5th or 6th round or something. I don't know, but. That stuff, if we're friends, we're friends, and like we're definitely friends. And I've told you before, I don't mind sharing with your folks, and I want to set the record straight too. Like first and foremost, like you're definitely like a mentor to me, but we're also, like you said, partners. And I was able to help with certain parts, but man, I gotta say, like I have a lot of podcast clients, and like I do a lot for my own show, and then I do a lot for these folks. Randy, you're unique because I really just edit at this point for you, because you are such a producer and you have such the know-how of the business, and you're really good at even managing your own emails and stuff. And I can step in and do a good email when
he can, and he offers it all the time.
And we get deals done because we can do that. But you're doing a lot of that on your own. And you'll be like, oh, I booked my own guest. You facilitated your own guest. I think a lot of people should know how grassroots this podcast is, because you have a great team and you have another booking person that you'll have featured on the pod, and I'm helping you with editing, but you're doing a lot, so you should really feel good about that. And the show, hopefully you're really proud of the show, because I'm really proud of it.
I am, and I feel like, even though I'm almost 2 years into it, I think, I can't remember.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's just now starting to gain momentum. And, I call it More to Say with Randy Naughton, interesting conversations with interesting people, which means I don't pigeonhole myself into one subject matter like true crime or sports or cooking or whatever. If I think you have a great story to tell, I'm going to get you on. And, we've had Bob Costas, and we've had Phyllis from The Office, and we've had some amazing authors and some amazing people. And the queue that we have coming up in the next couple of months is crazy amazing.
Very full too.
So it is very full. So I've been very busy, but I want folks to talk. I want to talk to you about your podcast, Mostly Superheroes. How long have you been doing it? And you are also on the air with 2 partners. You have the Giggler and Scotty Scoop. Tell me about where this whole premise came from and how you connected with these guys.
Yeah, I had a vision for my own talk show since I was a young kid, and you'll find old footage of me doing like being a newscaster with my cousins.
I love it.
And making talk shows. And so I knew there was something in the works a long time. And after radio, I saw the morning show formula. And I liked the morning show formula. It was, it was clunky and there's so many ads and it's kind of long. So
Tell me about it, brother.
Exactly. And then the interviews are so short. So like you get in, it's all about quantity with the studios, right? So it's like, oh, how many interviews can we get in? So just to your point, I had a lot of good inspiration on podcasts. Like I love Radio Lab from NPR. Like that's just a really well-made documentary type show that took years or months to make. That's only 20 minutes and has all these wonderful sounds. And I thought maybe I could make something like that. And then I came across, shout out to Imran on and Tony and Rug Boy on the Jock and Nerd podcast that I discovered at this point about a decade ago. And it was like, oh, these guys talk for hours about TV and film. And I thought, okay, that's like a route you could go. So when I met Carrie and this kind of came out of me during COVID was this longing to have this show, mostly superheroes. I described the show to Carrie of I want to talk about TV and film, but I want to like interview people like Randy or Steve Ewing, or like we want to get James Gunn on the podcast. We've had his brother Sean Gunn on our podcast, and just last year. But in 2020 is when we kicked off with the show in an empty basement with really $20 mics and a $50 mixer. And it was a bleak, brown 80s basement with nothing around. And you've been down here, Randy.
Yeah, I know. And I do want to backtrack when Logan said, well, I live in South City and my studio's in a basement. I'm like,
here we go.
Okay, I've never met this dude and I'm going to go to his basement sight unseen. But I swear it's the coolest basement. Your set is amazing. You have multiple cameras. It's really great.
Yeah, we've got the Shure mics now. I was like, what's Joe Rogan using? I'm going to get those mics. And it was like, I mean, we don't come from money. And, when I met Carrie, I was like, Carrie had a great job. And I was like, oh, that'll be a good thing. But her job was taking a toll on her. She was 6 years at an agency that was asking a lot. And she was she wanted to work for herself. I could tell. And so could I. But we couldn't do it without each other. Like we just stumbled into each other. And I was kind of stumbling around life before that, like, having good jobs. But it, like, hitting kind of like, I had creativity in me and passion. And I think that like a lot of businesses didn't know what to do with me. Like they just, and so, so Carrie brought that out. And now the show is what I want it to be. It's some interviews are 5 minutes. Sometimes we talk about a movie for 20 minutes. I feel like I like to think we're really pointed. We try to do high quality, good sounds, good production, very topical weekly stuff. You can find an episode or two with either, we're St. Louis born and bred, so you'll learn about the city and people in it, but you'll also hear from people in the industry, our takes on movies, and we host screen and socials at the movie theater and trivia bingo.
I know you're everywhere.
Trivia bingos at breweries. So like if you're living local, mostly superheroes, and I know I'll plug it at the end, but I put a lot of work into mostlysuperheroes.com. It's a really great blog website where the events are organized, our episodes are there. Like everything that's ever needed to be linked up. If you're a YouTube user or Spotify, I put so much work into that. So please go check out the website.
Mostlysuperheroes.com. Hi, everyone. It's Randy Naughton from the More to Say podcast with another sponsor shout out. When is the last time you've been to the Lemp Mansion in St. Louis? Did you know it is one of the most haunted places in all of North America with an incredible history? It's a beautiful building, first of all, and they've got so many events. When's the last time you've been there? They've got boozy bingo, holiday brunches, events like weddings and parties, a scavenger hunt, overnight stays, if you dare, Spirit with the Spirit tours, and their legendary all-you-can-eat family-style fried chicken dinners on Sundays. It's amazing. So listen, check it out on their website at lempmansion.com. We thank them for supporting our More to Say podcast, and I'll see you at the Lemp. Hi, everyone. It's Randy Naughton from the More to Say podcast. Thank you very much for supporting our podcast over the tons of episodes we've done so far. Somebody I want to shout out specifically to is an organization called Team Jakey. They are one of the sponsors of the More to Say podcast, and I couldn't be more grateful to be partnering with them. What is Team Jakey? Well, this family, the Zeller family, knows all too well what it's like to lose somebody to suicide. So that happened to them, their beloved Jake. took his own life. And what they want to do, they've set out on a quest to end the stigma of mental illness. So Team Jakey puts together all these amazing community events year round to help raise the awareness and prevent suicide and end the stigma of mental illness. So we would love it if you followed them on Facebook, Team Jakey and the Stigma. And of course, thank you for supporting the More to Say podcast as well. Team Jakey is one of our partners, and we are so happy to have them on board. Thank you very much, and we'll see you on the podcast.
Hey, it's Logan from Mostly Superheroes, the podcast, here with a very special announcement. July, we at the Alamo movie screenings with our Mostly Superheroes Screen and Social, and see Fantastic Four First Steps with us in the big show, July 26th. Really great time to be a fan of this podcast who really got its start on movies like these. Learn more about that at mostlysuperheroes.com/events. That's mostlysuperheroes.com/events.
I do want to find out about your co-hosts, the Giggler and Scotty Scoop. Where did you find these guys? Have you been longtime friends? And how did you end up vibing together on this podcast to make it work so well?
That's a great question, because I didn't plan to have co-hosts intentionally. Like initially, I should say. I didn't. I just didn't know what I thought it might be just me, because I can do some solo stuff. But Andy's a longtime friend. I spent 10 years living in Soulard. I just my overall background, a few years in Chicago. I mentioned Nebraska, but about a decade in Soulard, and now I'm about 7 years in Shrewsbury. So for you locals, and Andy lives nearby, and we met via a lot of my Soulard friends, which I have a Soulard family, and some of my best friends in my life are the people I met on the island, as we call it. And Andy came from that world of fun. He's a CPA, or no, he's in compliance, and he was 10 years at Wells Fargo, but now he's at a new firm, and full-time worker. But him and his wife Stephanie are fun. They are season ticket holders at St. Louis City. They're the most St. Louis couple. They'll go to multiple events, and he's just a nerd. That he had two TVs in his living room. I noticed where he'd watch sports on one and Avengers on the other. So he was from day. I was like, hey, do you want to come on the show one time? And it was very bare bones, Randy. The basement did not look like what it looked like now. And then Scotty is actually from my wife Carrie's friend group. Me and him, he's married into the friend group too, like me. And we were the last two to join this 20-year friend group. And so me and him just kind of bonded from day one. We just look at each other at events and be like, what are they talking about? I don't know this story. We're the new guys. And he's like, oh, I have 5,000 comic books in my basement. And he takes me
and you went, bing!
I was like,
right?
yeah, I'm like, listen, I'm not trying to use you. We're already friends. Do you want to come on the pod? And he came and talked about Spider-Man 2, I think. And so they've both been on for years now. I couldn't do this show without them. We all bring something different to everything we do. And they're honestly professionals. And they're both really good guys, honestly. And Sam Zeller from Team Jakey is also an honorary host. He is on all the time too. So
right.
Yeah.
That is awesome. And the relationship is really goofy. You guys are so much fun. And I personally, because I kind of look at mostlysuperheroes.com and I see all your social media, I'm connected to all of it. You are nonstop, it seems. You've got newsletters, you've got events, you're out of the house 2-3 times a week. You've got podcasts, you are doing technical things for other podcasts. Where do you find the time? Because it looks like you never stop.
Yeah, I can't believe it, honestly, because I got into this. You kind of get into this thinking, this could be work for me, and this could be really fun work for me, and that's true. But work is work, and the list is the list. So if you say I'm going to do these 10 things, like we do with the Fox or the Cardinals, and hey, let's we'll help you sell some tickets, or it's fun, but boy, it is a list. And I've learned that I can do a lot. And again, I'm an advocate to the single person out there. I still speak to those single people to say, you don't have to find someone to be happy or to for your life to be complete. You just need to love yourself and then go from there. And that's where I was when I met.
Aww.
That's when I met Carrie. I didn't want a marriage. Like I was.
When you least expected it. That's what happened
Yeah.
with me and my husband. And now we've been married going on 38 years, for heaven's sakes.
So it could go either way, right? You can be happy
Yeah.
either direction. But in my situation, I did meet like my soulmate, and she also just happens to be brilliant. And you think I can do a lot. Like she can do more. And so like 10 times as much really sometimes. Like where I can't understand how she can do. So I'm like, listen, we can do this. We've been through the ringer in the industry here in America, like with national and international clients, and we've kind of seen what how it all works, and we just want to try to do it ourselves, and we live by our work, and we just try to do good work, and and that we have to care about the work,
Right.
and
Right, because if it becomes tedious to you, it's not fun anymore.
if I'm doing any part of it that even starts to become feeling tedious or that like irritates me, I notice it. I try to that's my advice is, take notice, and then just go the other direction and try to make that maybe. Like if I build a proposal that says I'll do this thing, and then I realize that like that's taking too much time, and it's not really the payoff. This is the payoff. I need to be vigilant and be able to shift kind of quickly because the world's moving pretty fast. So you need to kind of like don't waste time on things that are not serving you or serving what you're going for.
Those are some really good life lessons. They truly, truly are. And, when I connected with Logan, his wife is would you call her a graphic artist? She's a graphic artist.
Graphic designer. She does.
Graphic designer.
Carrie Clark.
So I said,
CarrieClarkDesign.com if you're safely sitting at home. You can check out her work.
Carrie Clark Design. Now, I will tell you that when it came to me and I said, you know what, I kind of want to revamp the look of my logo, and she designed it all. So I'm partners with not only you, but with your wife, Carrie, as well, who I adore. I love that, she goes in her garden and she goes on nature walks, and I think it's adorable. I want to talk about, you talked about work-life balance, and you said I work 8 to 4. You have your own clock, and I think I've only seen you crabby one time. And then you had to, I said, listen, man, don't bury your head in this stuff. Take some time off. You finally did this summer. I was so glad to see it.
Yeah, sure. And I'll say first and foremost, we are all allowed to be crabby. And sometimes,
oh, believe me, I've championed it.
You learn in a marriage too. Like, it's like the day that you wake up and you might be a little crabby. And I've learned, like, I'm not going to try to fix you being crabby. Maybe today is just the day that you're. Take note, right? That, like I said before, take note.
Right.
And you were so right. Like, if I'm getting irritated, if I'm irritable, maybe I'm overworked, and it's like, oh, time to take a breather. Always a good reminder for all of us, just to say, I'm going to stop. And I just hope that people, I know what it's like to have a job where that's like not really an option. And I sometimes am my own worst boss that I've had before myself, right? Like I'm bossing myself into working, sometimes where you'll say like, you're working too hard, but I promise you, it's also just kind of like, I'm having a blast because I've made it a priority to make my list as much as what I care about and what I care about. So like it's fun to get into your episode, Randy, and be like, I'm opening up a new thing to edit. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so lucky to get to do this. I'm not thinking about it as, I get tired and I can get irritable, but man, I look back and I'm like, that was a good day.
Yeah, good. No, that's good when you can reflect on what you did and then look forward to the next day. My thing is that, my daughter, who is, I think, a little bit younger than you, she is just beside herself. It's like, Mom, why are you working? Why are you doing your voiceover? Why are you doing your podcast? You're supposed to be retired. I'm like, well, what does being retired look like to you, Alex?
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not retired. And I learned this phrase from an upcoming guest, Maxine Clark, from the original co-founder and CEO of Build-A-Bear, which, by the way, that's going to be an incredible episode. I fell in love with this woman. She said, she's easily 15 years older than me. She said, I'm not retired, I'm rewired. And I'm like, I'm stealing that. That's me. But I'm also putting an edict on myself where, I'm still a morning person. I still like to do all my stuff in the morning. I'm going to be, you know what? I'll get in my studio at 6 or 7 after walking the dog, and then I'll work till noon, and boom, then I have the rest of the day to myself.
Yeah.
So it's not that I'm retired. Yes, I'm rewired. I'm just not doing that job anymore.
Yeah.
I'm doing something that's fun to me.
Yeah.
I'm talking to people like you. I've got a great relationship with KTRS Radio, and I still have a great relationship with all my social media followers who used to watch me on TV in St. Louis for 30 years and in Buffalo for 10 years prior to that. So I don't know, I'm having a great time. And how long will it last? Who knows? This is why we do what we do, and we're just kind of seeing where it takes us. You, as I mentioned, have taught me so much about the podcasting space and, TV, radio. Sure, those are great go-tos, but you'll even see TV and radio going more towards digital. All the news stations, all the radio stations are putting up podcasts like KTRS, putting this one on the air. It seems digital is the way. It seems digital is, the continuing future, and it's only getting bigger and better. What advice do you have for producers, podcasters, and content creators who may want to do this? Because me being my age, I've always had somebody do this for me, and I'm learning as I go along. Podcasting is the go-to thing that people consume. What is the generation? What is the demo? What is the age group that? So I want to know, if somebody wants to be a podcaster, wants to do what you do, be a host and or a creator and or a producer, what advice do you have for anybody who might want to be stepping into this crazy, very competitive space?
Yeah, very crazy, very competitive.
Yeah.
3 times as large as it was 5 years ago, which was 3 times as large as it had ever been at that time. I think there's over 2 million podcasts now. You get out of it what you put in, and just keep that in mind, and make sure that it's fun and that you get out of it what you want. So if you're an individual that has a passion, just make it about the passion, and and I wouldn't stress about the quality at that point. If you want it to be a professional thing where you want to monetize, you're going to have to up your quality and produce a show that is not just good to you, but is going to be good to a big audience. And the data shows that people are, have in their queue really 7 to 10 podcasts. So you're trying to be in that list, and man, you better be good to be in someone's top 10 podcast.
Yeah.
And I think that in terms of the format, people are oversaturated with accounts to follow and even podcasts to keep up with. So you're just trying to get to the top of their feed when you can. So, you're having a good episode that's ready to go. I like to hit the people that like a 5-minute episode, because there's people that just want 5 minutes. It's almost like listening to an article is only going to be more and more available to people. That's a really big mechanism people enjoy. And then in terms of producing a show, Randy, you're so right, because I've got to see so much. I've got to see every angle of it now in the last 6 years, where it's like from the podcaster side, okay, and then from like Fox 2's side or from the radio station side. I'm seeing that it's all creating accessible content, kind of like where people are. So if people aren't watching the TV as much, like you said, digital is great. YouTube seems to be a great tool.
Yeah.
I don't think Facebook's going anywhere. It's a great live tool that people, like a lot of people come together on Facebook.
And most of this stuff is free.
It's free and it is virtual. And then there are some unique things, especially even in St. Louis, happening where you're going to start seeing a mesh up of everything in person with the live stream and being digital. So I saw this weekend. There was a live stream at like 6 different restaurants throughout the city of St. Louis. It was going to be a 12-hour stream. We're going to be there so you can go in person, but there were streams up on all the channels so people at home could just tune right in and be a part of it too. So I think you're going to see a lot more of these interactive shows. Live shows are big because people that are scrolling on Instagram or Facebook, when they see that live, I think that's becoming pretty attractive to people. If they're just kind of doom scrolling, you can drop into something live. But having good episodes ready to go is my advice. You do kind of gotta keep it rolling, but you get out of it what you put in. So from the small time creator to the big brands, and to there's audiobook podcasts, there's talk show podcasts like us. I think, just stick to your niche. Don't get sidetracked by anything else. Just focus on what you like about it, and it'll hopefully turn out good.
That is some great advice. And I will tell you, in about the year that I've known you, I have learned so much. And I'm so grateful for your help and your expertise. And, I think you and I both learn as we go along, and I try to stay on top of all the social media. And, I'm learning to put together and edit little tiny promos and put some graphics in there, and I know visually what I want, so I'm messing around with some editing software. I'm nowhere near as talented as you, but I'm kind of getting there.
Well,
You won't be losing.
Go ahead.
You won't be losing your job anytime soon, is what I'm saying, Logan.
Well, I also add, like, my personal take is I don't really love social media that much, and I don't really love the doom scrolling mindset, and I'm not a really big fan of like vertical videos and just scroll, and that's where the big hits are going. And maybe part of me is like, I need to move on from that mindset and kind of get with it a little, just in terms of these are tools that people are using to discover the things in their lives. And Brad in STL comes on our show a lot. He's a local influencer with big numbers in the foodie influencer space, and he talks a lot about impact. And he can do a video for a small restaurant, and there's a line out the door for the whole week. That's real. So I can't ignore the fact that these are tools, and maybe I'm just getting older. So I need to just remember, I think our method has been good. Not overkill. We kind of put out one clip to promote our episodes.
Right.
And then go find our podcast, because we put a lot of work into it,
Yeah. And it's fun and it's cool, and you never know what you're going to get from an athlete to an author to a entertainer to a singer to a CEO, you name it. Some really cool advice, some really stuff that really matters to people. It's like, why does the mom in South City care about something like this? And that was the mindset I had in television as well. It's like, sure, this is going on in Europe, but let's be local. What's relatable?
Yeah.
And that's what I kind of like to do. So we're going to be wrapping up, Logan. For those who want to discover your podcast, if they haven't yet already, by the way, sign up for the newsletter, follow them on social media. I mean, it's like it feels like you're never home because you're always everywhere doing so many things. But for those who want to check out your podcast, who may not, give it the biggest plug ever.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the space and the time and getting to talk with you and be a guest, as one of the behind the scenes people on the show usually. So please check out my show, Mostly Superheroes. You just search that and you will find it, Mostly Superheroes Podcast. If you search it in Google or your podcast app, we're available with video, full video. You can see great visuals just like we do on More to Say, and we're on Spotify and YouTube. And yeah, the website's great, and the newsletter is great because I mentioned
it really is.
Everyone's oversaturated. So I've found I do not mind emails, and I really like rare newsletters that just come once a month. That's ours, monthly, and it looks on the month previous to say this is everything that happened, and then here's what's coming up next month, because there's just so much going on. I'm trying to get this more manageable in my own life. So hopefully that you can feel that as a listener or a fan of the show, events, podcast, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention some of our biggest sponsors, More to Say with Randy Naughton. Thank you, Randy. Always.
Of course.
Four Hands Brewing Company's been a huge advocate for us. Steve's Hot Dogs, as well as the Fabulous Fox. And, of course, Team Jakey End the Stigma, mental health advocates here in St. Louis, approaching $500,000 raised for suicide prevention. And
they're also a sponsor of this podcast.
And a sponsor of your show, Randy. And I do sit on the board with Team Jakey, who meets monthly, and we're a 501c3. C3.
C3.
Yeah, that's right.
501c3, yeah.
C3PO for you Star Wars
fans. There you go. That'll help you remember.
It helps you remember. So, that's us, and none of it's possible without my wife. So, thanks. I guess if I was given an award speech type thing, thanks to my parents and my family, I had a good upbringing.
There you go.
I did. I had a good upbringing, and I have a great wife, and I'm just a regular guy here in St. Louis. If you saw me bouncing around in the 2000 teens in Soulard, I mean, I like to have a beer. I like to go out and see live music. You'll catch me out and about, but I'm getting a little slower, and I enjoy work, and I like going to fun stuff.
Buddy.
I don't know. I'm hanging out with Carrie a lot, so thanks for having me, Randy. It was really, really, really fun.
This was great. Now, everybody who says, "Who is that Logan guy you always talk about?" Now they will know this is Logan from the Mostly Superheroes podcast. And of course, my podcast partner here on the More to Say podcast. We'd like to thank the other sponsors, Lemp Mansion in St. Louis. If you haven't been there in a while, take the family, stay overnight if you dare. LempMansion.com. We'd like to thank Team Jakey, as Logan mentioned as well, hoping to end the stigma of mental illness. And of course, KTRS Radio. We appreciate them as well, running us on Sundays on the Big 550 KTRS. So that'll do it for this edition of More to Say. Until next time, we'll see you.
This has been More to Say with Randy Naughton. Interesting conversations with interesting people. Be sure to like or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.